Let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right. Adjust this room. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I hope you are well. I hope you are well. It is a fine, hot Friday here in Nashville, Tennessee. Feeling pretty spicy. Feeling pretty spicy out here in these streets. I ran errands today, so yeah. But without further ado, we're just gonna jump right on in. Welcome one, welcome all. Tag a friend who needs to know and understand the impact of planning ahead. Okay. And we're not gonna talk about necessarily planning ahead aspect on a personal situation. We're gonna do that at a later date and this will be a whole series. But more so planning ahead to prepare for your school year. Okay. So tag a friend that you know that needs to be here. But before I dig into our conversation today, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sandra Ray Porter, and I'm the Chief Vision Strategist for Cultivated Connections Design and Consulting, where we support educators with cultivating healing, social awareness, and education through the arts. Okay, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, holler at your girl. Okay. Holler at me, honey, because I am here to support. Disclaimer, if you see me looking around, it's because I am on two separate devices. You're probably used to me doing that by now. I'm on Instagram on my phone, and I have all the I still hear the music, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I'm so sorry. We're gonna redo all that in just a minute. I was like, why do I still hear this music? And didn't nobody tell me. Rewind, remix. Oops. Sorry, Instagram. Sorry, all the people out here in the land. We're gonna start that over, okay? Flash rewind. So back that back up. I'll start at introducing myself. So my name is Tandra Ray Porter. I'm the Chief Vision Strategist with Cultivated Connections Design and Consulting, where we support educators with cultivating healing, social awareness, and education through the arts. Okay. So if any of that, you know, feels interesting to you, holler at your girl. I don't know if y'all heard that previously because the music was still playing, but I just wanted to make sure I started the day or the live off with introducing myself because I got some new people. So, hey, new people, welcome to the Cultivated family. We love y'all already. All right, so I am getting my comments up so I can see. I couldn't see it first. All righty. So, today's topic is one of my favorite topics, planning. If you know anything about me, I love planning and productivity is literally my favorite thing ever. Favorite thing. So, I really wanted to kind of talk about the power or the impact of planning ahead, but more so on a educational sense of us planning ahead for education or our school year, our term, we will talk more about like planning ahead for our personal soon, because a lot of teachers I've come to notice that a lot of educators, especially new educators, or the younger generation, just don't have those skills, and it's not their fault. They just haven't been taught. And a lot of things that I wish I was taught, I wasn't taught until, or didn't learn or develop myself until later on. Let me know in the comments if that was you, if you've ever experienced that as well. Things you wish you known in year one that you didn't find out until year seven. Okay. So definitely let me know if that is you in the comments. Type me in the comments if that is you. Cause yeah. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. So I really didn't grasp the concept of planning ahead or planning for everything. When I mean everything, I mean everything, until about 8 years ago, when I started teaching at a charter school that I'm currently still working for today. And when I tell you, I really didn't understand it until I was forced to do it. And it has changed my entire life as far as how I teach. A lot of those skills I've pulled over to from there and brought to my consulting business. I've also brought it to my personal life, all those different things, like really always thinking ahead. And that's where I realized like true development, it can happen. But it isn't just about what you are teaching or educating students with in the classroom. It's more to that. So I jokingly would call the professional development series, and when I tell you it was a lot of planning, it was a lot of role playing. It was just a whole lot of, and I used to be like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? Ah. But it was everything I didn't know I needed. Um, So yeah, we're gonna get into that. I jokingly call it the boot camp, but I would not change the experience for the world. Like now, I don't even have to do all those things. One, because I already got it written down. It's power in writing things down. One, I already got all the stuff written down, so I could just tweak it like a lesson plan. Okay. So here's some things that you need to be planning ahead for as you're walking into your school year. If you know someone that needs this information, or even if you need this information, tag somebody, share it, and save it. Do whatever it is that you need to do so that you can refer back to it. Okay. So, some of the things that you need to plan: classroom setup. There's a lot of times where we are walking into our classroom spaces. If your spaces are changing and you have to get rid of, not get rid of everything, but get all the stuff taken out of your classroom, we're oftentimes not even thinking about what we want that setup to look like ahead of time. Where do we want supplies to go? Where do we want our chairs to go? Like, it's more than just decorating the classroom. It's more than just decorating the classroom. I'm sorry. I love a good Pinterest board too, but if the class ain't functional, it don't need to be there. Okay? So really start thinking about the functionality of your classroom, the placement of things. How is this particular space going to serve you and your students? Okay. Another thing is seating charts, which we definitely should be doing all the time. And this was for the new educators. Seating charts will save your life, especially as you are learning new students, all of that. I also create a seating chart, even though it is a dance class. My kids have a seating chart, and I also have planned how I want that to look. Because I don't have any chairs in my classroom because it's a dance class, I use tape lines instead. Like literally, I would use different color pieces of electrical tape. And one year I did a whole line, and I was like, I ain't really care for that. So I started cutting it up, cutting up the tape and put it on the floor, and I will number it. I had previously used the vinyl circles, but they got stuck to the floor really, really bad. So I won't do that anymore. I told the kids don't peel them up, and they definitely did not peel them up because we literally had to scrape the the circles off of the floor. But that's neither here nor there. I just remember that. So yes, to those who are watching this and are like, girl, why you just didn't use the vinyl circles or the vinyl number? Did that. It worked perfectly. Oh my gosh, because you had the color and the number. It was very visible. But because of that mishap at the end of the school year, it was like, no, we're not doing that anymore. So I went back to Old Faithful, good old electrical tape, and I just wrote the number in a Sharpie on top of it. Okay. So my students are given a color and a number. One, it helps me to identify where they're sitting at, they're identify their peers, all of that. It helps so much. So arts educators, think about beforehand, where are your students sitting? For the most part, sit like that throughout the entire year. However, there are times where we have to move some kids around. It's just easier to say, John, you're moving from green row number 3 to black row number 14, right? And now it's a new number and a new color for them versus just saying you're moving from here to here and there's no indication of where that is. And because I see the whole school, I found that to be helpful from the kindergartners learning their colors and their numbers all the way to my upper kids who are in the 5th grade who are still, they still need that structure. They still need to know where to sit. However, in 5th grade, we can be a little bit more fancy dancy. Like you get to choose which color row you want to sit on today. So there are some incentives inside of it as well. Okay. So first one was your classroom setup. Think about where everything is going, not just making it pretty. Think about what is the purpose of each thing that you're putting on your wall, in your space. What is the purpose of these things? Don't just put it up there just for because it's cute. Now, some stuff, yeah. But if it's not serving a purpose, like bye. Routines and procedures. I stand by this one hard, okay? Routines and procedures. You need to plan that ahead of time. Literally sitting in your classroom and identifying, how are my students walking into this classroom? How are they walking out? How are students receiving the materials? How are they sharpening their pencils? Like it sounds very redundant of like they're just going to get up, but no. It helps when you know this ahead of time. I personally do not like being interrupted during my lessons because it throws my brain off track. I struggle to remember the last thing that I've said. Okay. So, what I have done with my students, which is one of my favorite procedures, is if you are coming into the class late, and it's often because they've taken an assessment or something else is happening in another classroom where they are maybe a little bit late for my classroom. If they're just coming in just to rejoin the classroom, they go straight to their seat. But there are times where they're coming in to grab another student, whether it's for assessment testing or what have you. And instead of them coming straight in and stopping Miss Porter and saying, Miss Porter, I need such and such. No, they come in, they stand at my door and they raise their hand. I have told them I will give you a thumbs up that I have seen you just so that you will have been acknowledged that I see you. And then once I finish my sentence or whatever it is that I'm about to say, I will then address you. Okay. So instilling that helped a lot of frustration for myself, for the student, because now the student's like, I know you see me. And now they're like, oh my gosh, Miss Porter, we need such and such to go to XYZ hallway to take this test, or whatever the reason may be. Okay. So it stopped a lot of frustration. And it also taught a culture of respect of you're not just going to interrupt my classroom just because there's a need. Because the need don't have anything to do with what's happening in here. Okay. But of course, I do understand that there are moments where the need of someone else or something else will flow into my classroom. So I had to set up that structure. Okay. Another routine and procedure. This one isn't necessarily for the students. This is for the teachers. I have it's not even unspoken rule. I actually say it like for enrichment classes because most of our classes are literally back to back. Of course, we kind of factor in the transition time. They must walk their child to my classroom and we must meet eye to eye. That is a procedure. Sorry. Because you can send them down. I might not even be in there. I might have to run to the potty or run to the car or what have you. So that is a routine and procedure that you also have to think about. Yes, when we think routines and procedures, we think kids. Yes. But we also have to think about what do teachers that are not us need to think about and do. Same rule apply. Do not come in my classroom and interrupt me in the middle of what I'm doing. If you need to get a student, you politely go to that student. My classroom should not be interrupted because of your need. Mm-mm. Get somebody else to do it. Okay. So, again, really think about those routines and procedures. What are the children doing? What are you doing? What is the other teacher doing if there's, disruption or whatever? One thing that I've gathered throughout my 10 plus years of being in education, especially, going from gen ed back to dance, it was dance, gen ed, then dance. But going from general education back to dance education, it was an eye opener of like all the things that we as arts educators do not really learn. We don't learn how to set up a classroom properly. We know about the materials, right? But we don't know how to run successful classrooms. Okay? Without a whole lot of trial and error, which is just education in general, right? So I really wanted to talk about that a little bit more of just routines and procedures, you know. Procedures become routines. Even how my students are dismissing from the classroom, I sometimes like to make sure that my voice is turned off. We use a lot of hand signals where I will, all rise. I'll snap one time, their turn, snap two times, they'll go, just to keep my voice off sometimes. Because sometimes I just need to stop and look, right? Versus trying to converse with students. My students also know, as much as I love, y'all heard me the other day when I said love is one of my core values that I pride myself in my classroom. Do not stop as we're transitioning to stop and give me a hug. The procedure is, you may give me a heart. You may, we often do this. I teach my kids, to say I love you in sign language, things like that, because we can't have any accidents just because you wanted to stop and give Miss Porter love and this other child was not being totally attentive to what was happening in front of them. Then, boop, there's a crash of children and band-aids and all of that. Now there's a disruption that didn't really need to happen. Okay. So even showcasing kindness and love, there I have a procedure for that too. Do not get out of line um if you had not been asked to touch someone's body. And I had to think about, and the reason why it was taking me a minute there is, there are moments where students may see their favorite teacher and you're like, oh, I just want to go give my teacher a hug. However, the teacher did not give you permission to touch their body. So I also talk a lot about consent, and there's a procedure for that too. You must ask a person before you touch their body, including teachers, including Miss Porter. So I also tell them, like, please do not get out of line to come hug me, because sometimes Miss Porter just don't want to be touched today. But I know you want to show love to me, so you may give me a heart, you may give me I love you. So definitely have even the cute procedures in there. Check-ins, all of that. Like, I do a thumbs up, thumbs down. How are you feeling today? Thumbs up if you are feeling great, sideways if you're feeling in, and down if you're just feeling downright ugh. So we have little procedures like that. And that way I'm checking in with my students, giving them the affirmations and loves that they need without causing a big commotion in my classroom. Okay. It's not necessarily that they have to be quiet, but serving 36 to 38 students at one time, I can't hear all of the situations all in one time, right? So it just gives me a quick moment to check in with them or see where they are. Okay. All right, so moving forward, we have classroom setup. That's something you should be planning for. Where are you putting the things? Seating charts. Where are the children sitting and how are they going to get there? That also falls into routines and procedures. What are the children doing? What are you doing? What are the other teachers doing if there is a duty for them to do? Curriculum. I really don't even have to talk about this a lot, but curriculum. Curriculum. You need your curriculum. Whether you are creating it, cool. Whether it's being purchased, whether it is you need some additional materials to add to it, some additional resources, plan that ahead of time. Like this school year, I really want to come from a lens of using literacy and the arts as a form of self-expression. I haven't had a chance. Well, I'm not gonna say I haven't had a chance to plan for it. I decided to take my summer and rest, y'all. But that's I need to do a little bit more research of how I want to embed that in my curriculum and when I want to embed that in my curriculum, right? So, like, you need to think about that. Other things, I love to show videos inside of my classroom. I love it's one of my favorite forms of teaching. Just because we are in the heart of North Nashville and field trips are expensive. And yeah, children need to be learning during the day, right? So I leverage what I have, which are books and the internet to help support my lessons. However, what you not or should not be doing is trying to figure out what the video you're going to show to these children. You shouldn't be doing it on a whim. You should already know what you're showing, the questions that you're going to ask. At which point are you going to stop the video to have a discussion or not? What parts of the video will the children I work with K5. So there are moments when my uppers are like, "Ew," and I'm like, oh my gosh, why are we saying ew? So you need to know and be abreast on those things ahead of time. So when I say curriculum, I'm not just talking about the things that you're teaching. I'm talking about the resources that you're going to use, the research that you need to do, if that's something that you need to do, the phone calls for the teaching artists and all of that jazz. To me, all of that goes on the curriculum. Another thing that you should be planning for is your duties. What are your duties? Again, I work in a K5 setting in a public charter school. So I do have other duties that I need to adhere to, whether that's dismissal or what have you. Planning that out, like, and it could be something so simple as I know that I have dismissal duty. I know is that it's hard for me to leave this post, if you will. So let me go ahead and plug up my phone ahead of time so it's not dead by the time I get out of dismissal duty, right? Or I won't be here tomorrow. So I need such and such to dismiss the kids or whatever that may be. Okay. So really thinking through your duties and your various roles. How are you going to do it? What do you need to be successful in those roles? Most of the time for me, and I'm using dismissal duty as a example, is usually my phone. I usually need my phone or my iPad or some kind of electronic because I'm usually, I've been the person to call the names or what have you. So you have to think about their preparation as well. It's a bunch of other duties out there too, but that's the one that popped in my head. Student roles. Pre-plan the student roles, not necessarily the children to that role, right? Because you want to get to know them and all of that jazz. But what are the roles that you want to share in your classroom or that you want to, assist with delegating in your classroom, right? Like to have I love to have my pencil person. Like this person is I giggled because I saw the child's face in my head. But I love to have my pencil girl because I don't have to worry about those pencils being sharpened. That is her role. She takes it took it seriously. Hope she comes back this year and loves it again. But yeah, like she takes care of that. I don't have to worry about it. But had I not thought about, okay, we might not write a whole lot in here, but when it's time, I need these pencils to be sharpened. So let me make sure my girl knows her job, her role, when she should be doing this. Because of course, you're not coming to my classroom when you're in the middle of reading. No, that's not the expectation. However, if you choose to come over here during recess, if that's your choice versus playing outside. You can do that. I'm fine with that. So even giving time blocks. So again, you need to know those student roles. She likes to do it during recess because no one's bothering her and asking for pencils and all that. So that was her job. Um, the class librarian, I have books in my classroom, so this person makes sure the bookshelves is very neat. All those things, like even if it's not so individualized like that, still plan for it. As I mentioned earlier, I talked about the seating charts and how I have different color rows, if you will. I even ensure that scholars or my scholar dancers know who does what. This row goes first. Orange row goes first. Orange row, your row, I call a row captain and row leaders. One, because they both feel, upper echelon. So my row captain is the part, no, yeah. My row captain is the person that's like leading the line, not row leaders, row connectors. I'm sorry. My row captain is the person that's leading the line. So you have that first person that's leaving, bye, 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 bye. You have the person at the end of that line, of the color line, right? So that person and then the other person for the starting the next row, they're my row connectors. So I make sure that students know their roles and know how to do their roles well. Okay. It helps for a smooth transition and no confusion. And then I also tell the students, like, well, if the row connector here isn't here today or is absent, who's next? And they would then say, well, I'm next because I'm behind that row captain. So I'm like, we have a whole bunch of assistants up in here. Okay. So, no student roles. Also, think about planning ahead professional development opportunities. I know here in the art space, we don't have a lot of professional developments that actually happen in our school systems or our school buildings. If you do, that is amazing. But here in Tennessee, at least on the charter side of things, there is not a lot of internal professional development situations. And even to go a step further, there's not a lot of internal or even external professional development opportunities for dance and theater here in Tennessee. At least I haven't heard it. My Tennessee people, if you're watching, let me know. Usually they're external where we have to be a part of an organization. Thank you, National Dance Educators Organization, NDEO. Thank you for those opportunities, right? So even planning out those professional development opportunities, whether it's in your district or with the organization, a conference, trying to think, a professional development program. Like I know Dance Education Laboratory has one that I personally loved. So plan that out. Not only will it support you in your growth, but a lot of times your school will pay for those professional development opportunities. So why not plan it out ahead of time? Because most of these programs or sessions and conferences happen annually. So go ahead and plan that out ahead of time. The things that you want to do, the organizations that you want to be a part of, if they float your boat and are in alignment to what it is that you're doing and teaching. Okay. So, and again, that's something that your school may pay for. Yeah. So we're going to do a quick recap of some of the things that you need to plan out, right? You have classroom setup, you have seating charts, you have routines and procedures, you have curriculum and all of its things, your duties, whether it's as a dance educator or not dance educator or arts educator or whatever the role is, student roles and jobs in your classrooms, professional development opportunities, literally just about everything. You should be planning everything. And I'm not talking about like sit down and have this super drawn out 8-page situation. Now, if that's what you need, do it. But you know, have some idea, right? I will also give one quick tip in regards to planning ahead and planning everything. I personally get our school schedule every year. I mean, we all do, right? But I usually will grab it and put every important date in my phone or on my Google Calendar. One, to help me plan the things. So, certain times we do have professional development days where we have a later start day. There may be a day that I actually want to stop and get breakfast. There may also be a day where I may be able to drop my dog off at the vet or what have you. It adds a little bit more flexibility in life. So, I will leave you with that nugget. Drop your school calendars or organizational calendars, whatever it is, or however it is that you serve students. Drop that inside of your Google Calendar. So you can also have that for your planning purposes and needs. It has helped a lot with self-care as well, of when can I make this doctor's appointment or what have you. What days can I leave early? I mean, if you need to leave early, do that. But I personally try to schedule around days, if I can, that I know I have the opportunity to leave early anyway or come in late. So it allows you to adjust some life things. So I just want to drop that nugget. So here's the why you definitely should be planning ahead. The impact is tremendous. I'm going to tell you that. So first of all, it boosts your confidence. Know what you're getting into. Prime example, the routines and procedures. I'm not thinking on a whim of what I want my children to do. They already know it. I already know where they are sitting. Okay. It helps increase your readiness. It also gives you the flexibility to pivot if you need to. There are times as teachers where everything's not going to go to according to the plan, right? It's not going to go according to the plan. However, if we already have that foundation, we can pivot and not get as flustered as we probably would be if we didn't. Okay. It ensures, I cannot talk right. It ensures coherence and continuity. Okay. Your students are not confused. The other people around you, that your teammates, are not confused because you already know what it is that you expect. All right. And it's easy to set those boundaries that way with the children and the students. Okay. I mean, students and the teachers. Also, it allows you to maximize learning opportunities. Like, I take the first really 2 to 3 months, and we are like learning these routines cold. Why? Because by the time, really, I give it the first month, but you know, by the time October hits, this room needs to be moving like a wheel or machine because I'm about to give you some jobs. I like giving children, jobs. I like to delegate responsibility to the students because it's their classroom too. But we can't do that if we are not in a space of whew, cohesion. Right? So, but it also has allowed me to maximize the time that I have. Our class days are, or time periods are 40 minutes. That 40 minutes goes by real fast if children are not transitioning with purpose. Okay. If they're lollygagging and playing, that 40 minutes gets cut down to 20 real fast. So I personally like to get students in the classroom as quick as possible, with as less disruptions and interruptions as possible, so that we can get into our lesson and have fun. And usually by the time we've gotten to the end of our lesson, it's like, okay, class is up. And they're like, oh my gosh, because they had a chance to truly enjoy their entire time, because we got in the classroom and did what we're supposed to do. So time management, it definitely supports the time management. I just kind of mentioned a minute ago of how planning these things ahead of time has helped support me just getting things done. And also like addresses differentiation and individual needs. We all serve students that have exceptional needs, some shape, form, or fashion. So being able to, excuse me, being able to think about these things ahead of time has allowed me to make sure that I have a space for this student that is in a wheelchair, right? Where this student can leave out of the classroom when they need to without running over students' fingers and all of those different things. And even having students support that student to transition. This has happened, helped how that has happened on several occasions where I've had students who had to use some kind of other assistance like a wheelchair or a walker, this, that, and the other. And because we have this beautiful transitional foundation, this student was able to be supported by the other students, based off of where they were sitting or what have you. Because Miss Porter don't take no for an answer. We all have a body, so we all are dancers. That's one of my mottos in my classroom. Just because you might not be able to do the full body version of it does not mean you're not going to do it. Okay. And that boosts students' confidence. Okay. Because I'm a firm believer that everybody is a dancer, no matter what your physical body can and cannot do. So again, planning those things ahead of time helps with the differentiation aspect, including the curriculum. What students do you have in your classroom? What type of things are going to disrupt the classroom? I'm thinking about a student that I once served who had autism, and just like most children that thrive, I hate the word suffer, that thrive with things like autism and ADHD, there's sensory issues. So I knew during that class period not to bring out the instruments and the drums and all of that. No, I didn't do that because I didn't want to trigger her. And then we had a whole spiral situation. So again, planning out the things ahead of time will help support you in those things. And I'm staying on this addressing differentiation and individual needs part a little bit more, just because we serve students that have various situations going on. Okay, even if it's a learning disability and not a physical disability or a sensory disability, things like that. That's We have to serve all the children. So I'm thinking about students that need support with reading. Like, go read their IEPs, their IEP at a glance. You should be getting them as their arts educator. You are their educator, so you should be getting that too. And if you are not getting these IEPs or IEP at a glances, and the teachers are not discussing that with you, take initiative and go learn how to best support your students. But you can only do this if you have prepared ahead of time to know who your students are, where they need to sit, all those different things. Okay. And we'll talk more about addressing differentiation and individual needs on our channel one day, because I have a network of special education advocates and teachers that would be amazing to, share all these beautiful and amazing things about these children, strategies, all that jazz. Just because I'm not fluent in it, I just been in this game for 10 years, 10 plus years, and I've learned some things along the way after being on both sides of this situation, being on both sides of this educational fence, meaning with the arts and gen ed. Okay. So, lastly, one thing I don't think we do well in teacher development programs, I'm just going to say it, is early students about teaching students early about actually planning out the routines and procedures. And I kind of mentioned that. I'm not going to go back down that rabbit hole, but with the purpose and the actions in mind. So, some of the things as you're talking about creative routines and procedures, I'm just going to drop this nugget. Things that you need to be thinking about is student actions. What are the students saying? What are they doing? Like, if you do a call and response thing, what are they saying? What are they doing? What are, all the things. Teacher actions. What are you doing? Where are you standing? What are you saying? Like, being intentional about those things. I always think about transitions in the hallway. And because it seems like where a lot of newer teachers have trouble with, of just manning down these super long large lines. Like, yes, we have larger classes. There's nothing that we're probably going to ever be able to do about it. So we got to deal with it and make it work for us. And one of the things that I've even had to coach some of my younger um newer teachers on, or teammates, is during the transition, you need to be able to see the majority of your kids. Really need to be able to see all of them. So that might mean you might have to walk backwards. You might have to stand in this corner so you can see the full version of this line and all of that. Um, and that alleviates a lot of like the extra that happens at the back of the line. It does, like, because they feel like, oh, she can't see me, so I'm about to slam dunk this paper. Child, get in line. Because I'm watching, I'm looking at you. It's not just for, I hate how this sounds. It sounds like I'm only looking for compliance. No, I'm doing these things for your safety as a student, and to cover my butt too as an educator. Because the question is never on the student. It's always, well, where were you when this happened? I'm covering me. I don't know how that happened. And that's a legit situation. So, Think about what are you doing, where are you standing, what are you saying, how are you going to say it, things like that. Again, you don't have to do these things verbatim, but it's just a good idea to have. Also think about what is the purpose of this said routine that you are doing. Why are the students doing this? Like, what's the point? How is this going to benefit the success of this classroom? What's the point? Don't have children just doing stuff just to be doing stuff. It's a waste of time, of their time and your time. Okay, so really think through that. Also, what are some of the things that you need to plan ahead of time besides your curriculum? Like, make a list of that. All right. So that is all of today's live. If you want to learn more about planning out for the school year, make sure you come on into our 3-day asynchronous course. Was It's a master class, but it's going to eventually be a course. Talk called Setting the Rhythm. Okay, it is 3 days, 3 days of yummy goodness via video. I want y'all to come on in here. We're going to be talking about routines and procedures, several routines and procedures that we need to, create for our arts classrooms. It will be asynchronous. We will talk about self-reflection. Want to help you unveil your teaching philosophy. We are going to really deep dive, like, why do I do this creative work? How do I cultivate a positive classroom culture? We know that the arts promotes classroom positivity organically. We know this, but how can we be more intentional about this work? Okay, about this journey. How do we master classroom management and procedures? It's not all about compliance, making sure that the students comply. No, you need order in your classroom, point blank in the period. You just need it. So let's own that and make sure that students are successful, because their success is your success. All right. So we'll be launching this masterclass on July 21st, and it will run through July 23rd. You will have lifetime access to this beautiful set of videos forever. Okay. You also will receive a workbook as well as a resource hub. So if there's something that you feel like you're interested in and you feel like you need a little extra support here, let me know. In fact, type www.cultivatedartseducator. That's www.cultivatedartseducator. Or you can just type a rhythm in the comments on the replay, and I will happily send you over any information. Also, one last thing. There are 2 freebies available. Sorry, Instagram. Let me pull this up. There are 2 freebies available for you at this time. The freebie is called Unleashing Your Teaching Magic. Embark on a path of self-discovery and unveil your teaching philosophy. It is a reflection guidebook to ground the creative educator. So meaning if you want to do a little self-discovery, do a little bit of reflection, trying to, get into your why. Why do you do this work and how you should be doing this work for you and your students? Go ahead and grab their freebie. It's a guidebook. I want to say it's about 20 pages. If not, it has questions and prompts in there just to get you thinking. It has note pages, all of that jazz. So make sure you go ahead and grab that freebie. The link is in the bio if you're on Instagram. If you're not on Instagram, I'll make sure to add it on the post description. All right. So again, Setting the Rhythm, the 3-day masterclass to design a harmonious culture in the related arts classroom, is going to happen on July 21st through the 23rd. Okay, so you can go ahead and register and grab your ticket to at the cultivatedartseducators.com, and it'll be hosted by me. And mind you, I have 10 plus years of experience, so let me go ahead and drop these jewels on you. I'm that chick. I got you. All right, so without further ado, let me go ahead and let you all go. I'm gonna go ahead and let you all go. I'm super excited. You all have a happy 4th of July, a safe, happy 4th of July. Look forward to seeing you on the next live. Make sure you grab those freebies. There are 2, link in bio. Okay. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.